What up, YouTube family? We're back again. I'm back with the beautiful Jenna. So today we are going to talk about is how to make your first $100,000 with just $250 all from home. You literally don't have to leave the comfort of your own home. All you need is a laptop, a phone, and internet connection. And you too, my friend, can do this. You don't need a college degree. You don't need a GED. You don't need a license. And Jenna is going to show you exactly how it's done. Jenna, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I like to call it Friday because it's Friday.
Friday?
Like,
oh,
yay.
Friday.
Like, yay, it's Friday. That's what
Jenna,
I call it.
I'm starting to like your sense of humor a little bit here.
You know, we good because you're stuck with me. So.
All right, so Jenna, if I were to give you knowing what you know today, for those of you who don't know, Jenna is a beast herself. She's a real estate investor, badass. She's been in the game for over 11 years already. All right. She has made her money, a lot of money. All right. In the real estate niche. Today, I'm going to have her show you, all right, how to turn $250 and make your first $100,000 wholesaling real estate completely virtual. So Jenna, if I were to give you $250, show me how to turn that into $100,000 step by step, please.
Okay. So you want me to share my screen, get into the software?
Absolutely. Exactly what you would do. So for those of you who's watching, Jenna's going to show you the exact move that she's going to make. All right. Taking all the mistakes, all that learning lesson. Now she's going to give you straight to the juice.
Okay.
All right, Jenna.
There's going to be a bunch of ways. So we can just talk about a bunch of ways. And some of the things I always like to start out with is like, whoever you guys are as the investor, we have to kind of talk about that first, because obviously I know probably the bulk of you guys are wholesalers. You're somebody who wants to flip a contract pretty quick, get a profit pretty quick. But obviously there's going to be some of you who maybe want to get into rehabbing, and some of you who want to get into rentals or Airbnbs or commercials or whatever, commercial properties, like whatever it may be, whoever you are, like, first off, we need to figure out who you are as an investor. And then therefore we want to look at different things like, what kind of sellers do you like to talk with? Like, what kind of properties do you like to deal with? Now, obviously, we all want properties that are undervalued. We all want properties that have a lot of equity in them, that we can make a profit on them. But really, it's going to come down to things like, do you like going after properties that are in pre-foreclosure? Or do you like going after ones that are delinquent on taxes? Or do you like going after ones that are actively listed on the MLS? Like, there's tons of different combinations. But even before we get to that, like, just like Khang saying, like, if we have a budget of $250, which is very, very realistic. Now, what we need to do when we look at our marketing is we have to figure out two different things. So we want to figure out how much time can we commit to it, and how much money can we commit to it. So if we're starting out today and saying like, look, I have $250, that's it. If you're sitting there saying like, must be nice, I don't even have $250. Well, I will tell you that there's tons of ways that you can make easily $250. I mean, I'm sure you could just go look in your closet and sell something on Facebook Marketplace by the afternoon. So with all that being said, assuming we have a minimum of $250, this is where I would spend my time. So first off, I need to have a solid system to be able to help me find my different motivated sellers. Now, I could have multiple systems to take me to the MLS, and I could go on foreclosure sites, and I can look at all these different tax sites and all these different places, or I could have one location where I can come that basically gives me the look and feel of almost like a Google type of a search, where I can just put in a geographic area and I can find any type of properties that I'm looking for, depending on who I am as an investor and the kind of properties that I like dealing with. Now, you will get smarter and smarter. And I will tell you guys, like, I don't want to get too mindset on you today, because obviously we're here to talk about real estate. But really, when it comes down to it, when you get into anything new, you have to give yourself the grace period to be able to learn something new. And when we dive into this, guys, it's not rocket science. It's just, we're coming into a data software type of a site where we can find all those different motivated sellers, and then we can reach out to them. But the thing that it's going to come down to is really going to be your drive. It's really going to be you taking the action, you really pushing forward with this, because there's really no separation between somebody who kind of sucks in real estate versus somebody who's doing well. The person who's doing well is just the person who's doing it. The person that's not doing well is because they quit. They quit when it got hard. They quit when it got scary. They quit whenever they were uncomfortable. They're going to quit in all these different ways. But when you first get into this, you have to give yourself the grace period to learn it. Now, you may not be an expert. You may not be like Khang on day one that has a team of acquisition people and dispo people and transaction coordinators and all these different assistants. We don't have to be there today. And I'm sure he'll be able to tell you that that's not where he was on day one. So we have to be able to give ourselves the okay that we can learn as we go, that we may not be perfect on day one. We're going to stumble a little bit as we go, but we're going to really get better. And something that you'll notice about yourself, or just any human in general, is that you evolve and you learn and you grow. Like if you were to, like, let's say you were to go to IKEA today and you were to buy one of those ridiculous pieces of furniture, that 8,000 pieces, and you got to put it together. And let's say you bought 3 of them. The first one that you'd put together, I would probably bet that it's going to take you way longer than any of the other 2. By the second one, you probably have it figured out, but maybe you still put in a couple pieces upside down or backwards. But by the third time that you did it, you probably already know how to do things without even looking at the instruction manual. And that's the way that we're gonna act when it comes to this stuff. Like, yeah, we may be a little bit new to the software. You may not know where to click, but you're not really going to screw it up, because the main place that we're going to focus is right in this property lead section. Right here, you have access to over 160 million different properties nationwide. You have nationwide access to look anywhere in the country. So those excuses of, oh, my market, oh, there's too much investor competition, oh, it's already oversaturated, there's no good deals, it's overpriced, like whatever it may be, that's fine. Pick a new territory then and do things virtually. As long as you have the ability to have somebody potentially there to take pictures of it, whether even if it's just the seller, then you can pick up and do anything. I'm doing deals right now in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, and I live in Pennsylvania. I'm not even there. I've only ever been there like once or twice in my life. But within a month of using some of this software, I'm able to do wholesale deals within my first month. Yeah, obviously I had the knowledge already, but really when it comes to marketing, if you pick up and you start marketing somewhere, like I don't want to tell you guys, oh, okay, just give it a month, because really it could be 60 days. It could be 90 days. But worst case scenario, I always say, like, worst case scenario, give yourself a 90-day window. Like almost like try to prove me wrong, try to prove Khang wrong. Because if you're doing the things that he teaches you how to do and you're doing it consistently for 90 days and it's not working, there's something wrong here. There's no way that certain things shouldn't work if you're doing the things that we talk about. So really, it's just going to come down to consistency. But even if it's not 100% perfect, we're still doing it. So when we look at marketing, all that we're going to do is just figure out our geographic area that you want to focus on. And it can be your city that you're in. It could be the area, your county that you focus on. It could be a state away. It could be wherever it is that you want to go. But really, we just need to figure out, what does a motivated seller look like? The whole purpose, guys, of coming in here is to figure out, how do I identify somebody that may be in a situation where they need our help? Now, obviously, we look at it from 2 different ways. Like from our perspective, it's like, how can I take advantage of as much as I can? How can I capitalize? How can I make the most off of everybody? How can I do well for me? Obviously, that's not entirely the way that we're going to look at it solely. But then also we're looking at it from the perspective is, how can I help these people? Like if somebody's in a tough financial situation, if we don't reach out to them, that's a disservice. And if we can merge those 2 worlds and we're putting people first, money second, while we're getting paid to do it, it's a win-win for us. So when we come in here, we need to figure out, what are some of the things that could be going on in somebody's life that could maybe make them say, you know what, I should probably sell my property. Now we have obvious things like, pre-foreclosure, foreclosure, delinquent taxes. Like we'll talk about that stuff, but things that we've talked about before would be things like free and clear. And obviously, like we look at free and clear, it's like, well, how's that make them really motivated? Like it doesn't make them necessarily motivated. It just means that they're the kind of person that I would love to talk to, because they have no mortgage, which means it's all equity in that property. If it's a $500,000 house, I could offer them $1 and they're still going to make something on it. Obviously, that's not going to be what happens, but obviously you guys get what I'm talking about. There's a lot of equity, but there's not any sort of like urgency with them. And then that's when we'll talk about our artificial intelligence that we sprinkle on top of it. But really, I want to figure out what would be some things that would jump out at me. Now, some of my favorite searches, we'll talk about this. We'll play around with some of these recipes, but some of the things I love is absentee owners. So somebody who owns a property that they're not personally living in. And I love it because it's quick. They're not usually emotionally attached to it. A lot of times it could be a vacant property. It could be a rental, which I love. And so it's not usually like, well, I got to find another house to move into because this is my house I'm living in. No, they're not living in it. So I always love starting out with any sort of an absentee owner. So wherever you are in the market, like you can do as big as your whole state. You can do a county. So if you're like, look, I want this county. So you can come in here and say, I'm in Cuyahoga County. And then you could start out by just saying absentee owners, or you could come in and look for active listings. Now, if you look back at some of our previous recordings that we've done together, we've done pretty much whole entire calls on things like active listings. And we've done whole entire calls. Probably, I think our last time that we filmed together, Khang, we did subject to conversations where we targeted people where we could potentially come in and take over their mortgage payment. Now, where that was a kicker, and if you're like, what the heck, subject to, what's this language you're talking about? Well, we're not going to get into the weeds of it, but subject to is essentially a creative way of taking ownership of a property while keeping the current person's mortgage in place. So if you can imagine, you can buy a property in cash, you can buy it with a bank, you can buy it with hard money, you can buy it with private money. They could own or finance you and they could be the bank. You could use, cash from under your mattress or however it may be. But another way we could do it is called subject to, which means I take the ownership of the property and with the deed and things like that, or however you want to structure it. But then I'm going to take over their mortgage payments. Now, is there education that should go behind that? Yes. Is there things you probably should know? Yeah. I mean, there's going to be different ways you're going to structure it, which is why you have obviously Khang here to be able to help educate you guys and give you guys the right contracts and things like that if you choose to work with him. But when we move forward with that, there's different ways and different things and different combinations of what I would look for if that's me as an investor, like if that's who I am. So like, let's just say I'm starting out, I'm brand new. I have no real estate experience. I don't know a whole lot about anything. I know that I'm in Cuyahoga County, if that's where you're from. Obviously pick your area. And then you're going to come in here and you're just going to get started with picking any type of a list. Now, if you guys don't have the software, I'm going to show you guys where you can get it. So I'm going to show you this. So we're going to go.
Wait, hold. I'm going to stop you right here really quick, Jenna. Because okay. Sebastian just commented something, and I guess I want to get this out of the way. For every one of you who already signed up for the software previously, and knowing that all your skip tracing, unlimited, as long as you have the software, that I will pay for your skip tracing, just to let you know that when you now go into your account, it is now activated. So all the costs that you have to pay for skip tracing, okay, it is now becomes free. For those of you who haven't signed up, I'm going to open up another opportunity, and then we're going to talk about how you can take advantage of that, okay? But so Jenna, I'll let you continue.
Okay. So if you don't have the software, then stay tuned. But so if we come in here, we put in our geographic area, and now I have to figure out, let's say I have $100 now left over. So let's say that if I'm going to get the software or whichever version you're looking for, let's say I have $100 extra that I can devote to something.
Okay, wait. Okay, I'm sorry, Jenna. So maybe you're going to love it. So first, step one is you're telling them, hey, they need to basically identify what market they want to start wholesaling, right?
Yeah. So, as far as, how to pick your market, I don't want to go too much off the software, but there's different ways. Like you guys can go on like realtor.com or Zillow. You can put in your geographic location and you can see things like things I would want to look for would be the days on market for properties. Like I would want to see what are houses listed for versus what they end up selling for. How long did they sit on the market? Did they sell over asking price or under asking price? Did they marinate for quite a while on there? Does it seem like it's more of a buyer's market or a seller's market? And if you were to go to realtor.com, Like I like each of them for different things, but realtor.com, I like that because if you just go in there, you just type in your geographic area, and then you'll be able to see a section where you can basically see the home values in the area. And when you click on that, it will actually tell you if you're in a buyer's market, a seller's market, or more of a neutral kind of a market. And that's going to tell you who's kind of the boss there. Like if you have a lot of houses and not a lot of people buying, then obviously you can see that the buyers are the ones that are in control there because there's a ton to pick from, and they can basically say like, you know what, I'm going to put you all against each other and you can give me the best price, versus the other way around, like in a lot of your markets where you have a lot of people, it's like a lot of piranhas there in the water. A lot of people are wanting to bite, but there's only 1 or 2 houses that come around every now and then, or 5 or 10 or however many houses. So if that's the case, whoever's the seller is in charge in that market. And so when we have the ability to know that, like let's say that you're in an area where it's super competitive. Well, the bulk of all these properties that we have access to right here, the bulk of them are off market deals. You have access to tons, thousands, millions of unlisted, unadvertised properties, off market deals that we have access to in here. The things that kind of hold us up, like, so if I were to step back as an investor and I'm going to look at the bottlenecks. So if you're a brand new investor and you're like, holy heck, I don't know where to find these people. I don't know what to look for. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to have conversations. I don't know how to negotiate. Well, just take a breath for a second. And first off, we're showing you where you can go, because you can go to 1,000 different places, or you can go to the place that has thousands of combinations. And we can come in here and we can look exactly what we're looking for. So let's say that like one of my favorite searches that is like it's my go-to, and whether you're a rehabber or a landlord or a wholesaler or a real estate agent, whoever you are as some sort of an investor, this is going to be a great list for anybody to get started with, just to at least get familiar with what we're looking at. And so I usually start with delinquent tax activity. And this is going to give me a list of people in the area that potentially has some sort of a delinquent tax activity in the recent time frame. Now, you're going to see here, depending on your area, it's going to narrow it down. But in my case, I still have 45,000 people. I don't have the time. I'm sure you guys don't have the time. If you're working full time, you're hustling, you're doing stuff, you have family, kids, maybe you're taking care of, parents you're helping. Like you don't have time to call 45,000 people, especially if you have no team and no dialer or anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our filter area. We're going to figure out how to narrow it down. We're going to keep narrowing it and making it smaller and smaller. Now you can do it just by things like, maybe you don't want your whole county. Like maybe you just want to come in here and say, I just want Cleveland itself. And you can go granular and just say, I want just this one zip code, or however you want to do it. But now it narrowed us down. But when we come in here, we'll talk eventually about AI if we have time today. But things that we want to look for, like my favorite combination is if I can come into this ownership info and I can select out-of-state absentee owners. Now, if it makes your list too small, like if you say, look, I have a team and, they can cold call 2,000 people a day, or, each per day. Like if this list is too small, then come in here and add in-state too. The main thing is I want it to be delinquent on taxes. And I don't want that person living in it. If I can get them living in another state, it's a different flavor of motivation. Now, again, depending on your market, depending on your area, also depending on the software version that you have. If you do have maybe our a little bit more elite version of the software, you can come in here and you can add additional things like vacant on top of that. So if you can imagine somebody who owns a property that they're not living in, they're behind on taxes, and on top of that, it's sitting there vacant, not bringing in any bit of income. It's nothing but a financial burden at that time. And when you call them, I'm not saying that they're going to thank you and tell you that you're a hero, but you're certainly going to get more people that are probably relieved that you're calling to help them. Because look, the bulk of them, like let's look here. If you have the more advanced software version, which I'll show you the difference between the two, but if you do, you have this exclusion button. So what I can do is I can exclude certain things. So if I say, you know what, I want 100% off market deals, I'm going to come in here and I'm actually going to exclude active listings. So that took us from 2240 down to 20. Yeah. So, it only took off about 50 properties, but really these in this area, just in Cleveland alone, there's over 2,000 different properties in that, just in the city alone, that are delinquent on taxes, it's some sort of an absentee owner, whether it's in the state or out. And then it's also sitting there vacant. It's nothing but a financial burden. Now, if you can imagine, what if we're calling that landlord right at the time where that last terrible tenant just left, and we can get in there and we can call them, and it's like, thank God you called. Like, thank goodness you guys called, because remember, none of these are on market. Nobody else has access to these leads unless they have this software. And even if they do have this software, because that's usually something that people will say, well, what if there's other investors in my area that have the same software? Okay, but just because they have it doesn't mean they're doing anything with it. Just because they have it doesn't mean they're actually calling, doesn't mean that they're as good as you when you call. It doesn't mean that they build the rapport and the credibility that you do, or have the follow-up system like you do, or make people want to buy and sell with you because you're different than they are. Really, like when you call somebody and they're like, oh, you're like, I just had this the other day. Like, I was talking to somebody in Massachusetts, and they're like, haha, you're the 8th person that's called me today. And I almost wanted to be like, well, give me 5 minutes and you're going to see that I'm unlike any of the other 8, really, because I will blow them out of the water. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even a question. The things that they say they're going to do, they probably can't do, or have no knowledge on how to do it. They're not going to be able to perform. They're not going to follow up with you. And they're probably somebody that's in another state or country that doesn't even know anything about this area. So really, please, like, put us against one another. But, when you call these people, guys, it's not rocket science. Like, let's just like pause for a second and imagine that your friend just called you and they're like, hey, guess what? I know you said you wanted to get into real estate, but there's this girl at work, and she inherited this property from her family and she wants to sell it. And you would be standing there thinking, like, your brain's going to go a million miles an hour here. And I'm sure that you'll come up with something. Like, if you can even put in the chat, like, what would be some things that would pop up in your mind instantly for you to say to your friend? Like, okay, you know this girl that has this property. Like, what would be some things that we would think to ask? Like, okay, well, how many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? Does it need any work? Do you know what she wants to sell it for? Like, obviously we know why she wants to sell it, because she inherited this property. But obviously you guys understand and you know what to ask. But suddenly when we're put into this professional setting, sometimes we freeze up and we act like these weird real estate robots. And we're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say to these people. But you guys do, if you just would stop and take a breath. And the thing that, like, I usually say is, like, one of the things when you call somebody completely out of the blue, there's going to be a couple of things that run through their mind super fast. They're going to be thinking, who are you? How did you get my information? And why are you calling me? Like, that's what we're going to think, like, as a telemarketer calls in. And so some of the things that I like to do is I like to handle all of those questions, all of those objections right away, as fast as possible, with my very quick elevator pitch. Now, I don't use a script. I don't have a paper up on my screen. You can have a paper up, especially if you're newer. I would recommend more of like bullet points, if anything, because you don't want to be reading it word for word, because then you'll just sound kind of weird and automated. But the things that I usually do is I'll just say, let's just say, for example, let me pull up somebody so I'll get a name here. So let's say, let's pull up somebody. Okay, Paul here. So let's say I'm going to call Paul. And I'll call him and I'll say, hi, is Paul available? And most likely Paul's going to say, yeah, who's this? And I'll say, hey, Paul, my name is Jenna Hoover and I purchase houses in the area. And my team and I are looking to buy a property in the next 30 days in your neighborhood. And I came across your property there on Howard Avenue and it really caught my eye. And I got your number online and I figure, you know what? I'm just going to reach out to you. I know it's super, super random. But like, what harm is it then just for me to call and ask you, do you have any interest in selling that property anytime soon? And then just shut up and see what they say. Like, it doesn't have to be like, you can say whatever, like, hey, this is who I am. My family and I are looking to purchase a property in the next 30 days in your area. I came across your property. I got your number online and I figured, I'm just going to reach out and see if you would be interested in receiving an offer on it, or however, like whatever is your flow. But the thing I did is I introduced myself. I told them why I was calling, because obviously I'm interested in their property, and I told them, and I got their number online. So I answered all of those things, and then it kind of puts their guard down a little bit, and they're like, okay, you are a normal person, but what do you really want? And I'm going to tell you, a lot of them are going to say no. A lot of them are going to say things like that. But I usually will, like, my goal is to get them to be comfortable with me. And I can usually do that in just a matter of a couple minutes. And as long as you can get them to smile or laugh or something on the call. But I'll say things to them like, you know what, you said you don't want to sell it, right? You said you don't want to sell your property. Is it like no forever, or is it just no for right now? And then they'll be like, well, I just don't want to take the kids out of school and this and that. And like, then you'll finally figure out that like after May, you can give them a call. So we don't want to just take no for, like it's just to get off the phone. We want to be able to kind of push them and see a little bit more info. Or I've even had people where like, I'll say to them, do you know anybody else in the area that's looking to sell their property? And they'll say, well, I know that down the street, there was this one house that had a sign in their yard. I actually have had sellers that weren't even wanting to sell their property to me, that would drive down the road, take a picture with their cell phone of for sale by owner signs, and then text them to me. Like there was nothing that they got out of it other than just helping me, because then like we're all on the same team at that point. Like we're all working together. And I mean, you guys can do that kind of stuff, but really all that we're doing, you can see how simple it is. We come into our software, we put in our geographic area, and then all that we're going to do is just tell the system what we want. If you don't want this type of a list, like this is just one kind of a list. This is just one recipe in our cookbook. Like some of the things too that I love, that I absolutely love, is going to be our AI, or our artificial intelligence. And if you've ever been on our calls before, then you've heard about it. But basically what we've done is we have a scoring feature in our system that scores properties on a scale of 0 to 1,000, 1,000 being the best on how likely we predict that they're going to sell in the next 90 days. Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm gonna interrupt just a bit here. Okay, so step number one is identify what market that you guys want to go in and start wholesaling. Jenna already talked about that. So that's the first step that she's going to do. Okay. The second step is you mentioned about the favorite list that you like to target are tax delinquents, and especially if it's absentee. So you kind of list stack it. But tax delinquents, the list that you're going to target. Okay. Oh, yeah. So then, okay. So now we're on step number 2. Okay. So now step number 3. So you want to share the screen again? Because those who just come on, I just going to want to go through what Jenna just did. She identified the market that she wants to go in. The next thing she's going to do is she's going to go onto the software, and she's going to pull a list of tax delinquent property, and then she's going to show them, Jenna, how you would filter the list. Yeah.
So just to kind of call it out, there's 2 different versions of the software, guys. You don't. Every package is phenomenal. So I'm going to show you guys, depending on whichever one you have, what we're going to do.
You got $250 only.
Yeah. So I can do either one of them with $250. So the first one, if I say, look, I only have, let's say, less than $250, I can still come in here with the software package I have. I'm going to pick the delinquent tax activity. I'm going to go in here to the ownership info. I'm going to go into in-state and out-of-state absentee owner. And I would probably just leave it right here. So I would keep it with that. If 11,000 is obviously too much, then let's just be more specific. Let's say that let's say that you only like single family properties. If that's the case, then why market to anything else unless your buyers like something else? If you're looking for if you're doing marketing for your wholesale buyer, if you say, look, I only like 3-bedroom properties that have a minimum of 2 bath, if that's the case, then narrow your search. Like there's tons of ways that you can narrow your search. So now we're down to 856. Like this is a fantastic size list right here for us to target now.
Okay, so now, Jenna, now that you got a list of 850 people, what is the next step? Okay, so let's just say that I'm following you right now, Jenna. I just identify my market, and then I went in I sign up for the software, whether you go the basic or the pro plan. I sign up for the software, just like you said. And then after that, I went in, and then I pull a list of tax delinquents. I got 850 people. What's the next step? What's the next step that I should do with those people?
So my next step is to reach out to these people. So what I would do is I would come in here, and you can select whatever number you want. Like if you say, you know what, this is great. but I can only target 100 people. Well, then just select this list of 100 and just market to them. But if you want to do the whole list, you'll see here, you'll come in 856 people go up into our lead section. And then from here, I would go in and I would skip trace them, which means I'm going to go in there. I'm going to get their contact information. So phone numbers, emails, known relatives, and their relatives' contact info. So I need to figure out a way to get a hold of these people. And so I'm just going to go in here to my lead trace option. I would go to continue. I would recommend saving them into your database and telling your system what this list was that we just searched for with the date. And we would go to continue, and then I would accept it. And it would, you'd see right here, $85.60 is what it would be to get these people's contact info.
Okay, and this is where I'm gonna stop Jenna, okay? Because this is something that I'm willing to do for not all of you, but for some of you, is that a lot, you'll be like, well, Khang, you know, you mentioned that, hey, all I need is $250, but now there's skip tracing costs. What's that all about? So here's what I'm doing. For everyone who actually saw our video Jenna and I did like a week ago and able to take advantage and sign up, all right, which means you're able to get your spot. I just want to let you know that now when you go back into your software, all your skip tracing is being paid for by me, unlimited, completely for free, as long as you have the software. Now I'm going to open this opportunity up again on this live for X amount of people. So if you want to take advantage of it, you want to sign up, okay? It's going to be activated today. And hopefully you make in the list. But your skip tracing now will be paid by me. So all you need to pay is pay for the software. And you can, let's just say you go drive for $1 and you got the property address. You go home and you can put into the software, and you can either skip trace one at a time or you can skip trace up to 10,000 at a time. It doesn't matter. But imagine if all your skip tracing was being paid by someone else and you get it completely for free. And you get to use everything else in the software as well. Okay? So once again, this opportunity is only for X amount of people. Hopefully you're able to make into one of them. So Jenna, can you pull up that, can you pull up and show them which plan? Because so if you get $250, right? Can you show them the plan, where to sign up, and all that?
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to kingdata.ai. So kingdata.ai. And it will take you here to the checkout page for Deals for Me Now. This is just what we had called it before, but now we're at King Data. So it's going to redirect you here. And then we're just going to go to Get Started. And it's going to show you there's two different packages. So basically what you'll see here, and it all, you can pay monthly if you want, or you can pay annually. It's going to be a one-time payment if it's annual. And then you'll see kind of what the monthly breakdown would have been here. So it's just instead of it paying for it every month, you just pay one time. But if you say, look, I can't just do that, I just have to pay monthly for right now, then you can pay for it just every single month if you want. And there's two different plans here. So you can see either one of those plans with $250, you're going to be able to do this, especially for the fact now, because before they had to pay for their skip tracing.
Yep.
That was something that they always had to do before. Like you can easily see just one list one day could easily be $100. Like, what if you did this? Like, what if you did this every week or every day? Like, how quick would your credit card just be racking up? And then, like, it's not so bad, guys, if you're churning deals, but especially like the hardest part of being an investor is probably the first 90 days. Because it's like when you go to the gym and you've never worked out before and you're giving up all your favorite foods and you're like miserable as far as working out wise, and you're doing all this stuff, your muscles are all sore, and you get on the scale and you gain 2 pounds and you're like, what the heck? Like, what am I doing this for? But after 30 days, you're going to notice something. After 60 days, you're going to notice a lot of stuff. After 90 days, you probably fit into your clothes different, and you're probably a different person when you look in the mirror, and you probably feel entirely different. And it goes the same way when it comes to this. You're putting in a ton of effort. You're putting in marketing dollars. You're putting in money that you don't have sometimes, and you're putting it in. It's like gambling. You're gambling, but what better thing to gamble on is a sure thing like yourself. And you're putting in, and you're gambling it on something. And I hate to say gambling, you're investing in something and in yourself. And then what you do is after 30 days, if you're doing your stuff right, if you're out there and you're calling these people and you're cultivating leads and you're analyzing deals and you're putting in offers, guys, the statistics are that every 25 to 30 offers that you make, one gets accepted. So not a very bright person could sit here and figure out that if you contact a list of people that's 100 people, or I mean, as small as 100, there could be a chance if you made offers on every single one of them, there's a chance that, 2, 3, 4, some or more of those people on that list, if they're saying, if they want to sell, they potentially would take your offer.
Yep.
Like there's no secret recipe to it.
Absolutely. And I also want to add this to it. Okay. And I will let Jana continue. So let's just say once you call those people, let's just say someone accept your offer. Jana's going to show you what the next step to do. Just this software is a one-stop shop. I don't want you guys to think that it's just skip trace. It is way more than that, way more powerful than that. So now I want you guys to understand that there is going to be wrong number, right? Like you're not going to get all right numbers. There's going to be wrong numbers, but don't get discouraged because you only need one yes. I want you guys to understand that. So you're going to get a lot more no's than yes, but all you need is one yes a month. The average wholesale deal is right around 20 to 25,000. Even if we use 20,000, okay? Imagine you get one yes a month and you're able to wholesale and do 20,000. And I'm talking about part-time. Now, let's just say you'd be like, well, Khang, once a month, I don't know. Well, what if you just do one every 3 months? You just made an extra, $80,000 to $100,000 a year wholesaling part-time on the side with just leveraging either, if you sign up for the basic plan, $149, or you sign up for the pro plan, $250 that you're investing in all your skip tracings being paid for. But now here's something I want everyone to be clear. Okay. So when you go to the software and you sign up, okay. And when you go to the checkout page, if there's no red banners that pops up, then that means you have made it into one of the spots. If there's a red banners that pops up and say, hey, you know what, the spots are been taken, it's already been filled, then likely there's nowhere spot left. Okay, so once again, this is a first come, first serve, unlimited skip tracing. Okay, it's going to be paid by me as long as you have the software. You can upgrade, downgrade anytime. You can cancel at any time. They make it so easy. But Jenna, let's show them what else the software can do. So let's just say that now I go in, I skip trace all of those 800 something people. Khang's paying for it. Now I'm going to start pounding the phone. I'm going to call them. So next I want you to show them, Jenna, is when you get on the phone with the seller, what do you say? Like, how do you get these sellers to accept your lowball offer?
Well, first in the chat, there was somebody named Mindscape, and they were asking a lot about the how do you skip trace an LLC. So one of the things I did want to show is when you go to skip trace them, well, you won't even have to skip trace them. We're going to provide you those numbers if you're somebody that gets in time. But either way, you see here that we're able to unlock information on regular individuals, corporations, LLCs, and trust. So we're able to pierce the corporate veil, and we're able to essentially get you contact. And it's not just so you'll see whenever whenever you're in here, something like this where it'll have Red Hawk North LLC. If you have if you guys get in here in this time frame and Khang's going to be paying for it, as soon as you click on that person, you'll see right away. So you don't have to wait on anything. Any person you click on, you're going to have their contact information. And so up here, it would say, let's just say John Doe and the phone number and email. Or if there's 3 people that's affiliated with that LLC, you'll see all 3 people listed. So not only is it the phone number potentially and or the email, but then also it will be the person's name that's behind that entity. So so we can completely go past that. So this is unlike anything else that's out there. But as far as our next step, so let's say that let me clear out my list here. So let's say that we did our marketing. We called these people. I got them on the phone. And that, again, there's so much mindset that goes into it. So really, if you're a good person, you can do this. I mean, anybody can do this. But if you have no real estate experience, but you're just a normal, kind person, you're going to dominate at this. because that's really what it is. It's like people want to do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And if you're somebody that comes across as like a skeezy salesman, or you're not listening to what they're saying, you sound like you're not paying attention, then that's going to be something that you really have to work on. Because when I call these people, like let's say that I'm going to call Robert here, I'll say, again, I'll just give you guys my quick pitch. I'll say, hey, is Robert available? And Robert will say, yeah, can I ask who's calling? Yeah, this is Jenna Hoover. And I purchase properties in the area, and my team and I are looking to purchase a property in your area in the next 30 days or so. And I came across your property. It really caught my attention, and I grabbed your number online, and I'm just reaching out. I know it's super random, but I just wanted to be able to introduce myself and see if there's any opportunity in the future that you'd consider receiving an offer on your property. And, or, would you be open to hearing a cash offer on your property, or whatever it is? And let's say he's like, you know what, like, it's so ironic that you called. My wife and I were just having pizza the other night, and we were just saying, what the heck are we supposed to do at this property? I work out of town, and she just hates being a landlord when I'm not there. And I'll just listen to what they say, and the things that I'm listening for. Like, my ultimate goal when I talk to them, like, number one is, do they want to sell it? But after I get past that, there's four main things that I really want to gather on this conversation. I want to figure out, what do they want to sell that property for? Now, of course, you will get the people that are like, oh, I don't know, you're the expert. Why don't you tell me what you think it's worth? Or, I don't know, I've never really thought about it. And then, like, whenever you do eventually offer a price, and they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I'm like, well, I thought you didn't have a number in mind. But, so we want to get an asking price. And if they won't give it, things that I say to people are like, do you have a number that you won't take for your property? Like, just throw things like that at it. Or if you have a number in mind, like, let's say that you're familiar with this area. Let's say that after you know a little bit about what it needs work-wise, throw out an offer. Like, there was a seller, it was yesterday or the day before, I got a lead from my VAs. It's in an area that I absolutely love. I've already done like 4 or 5 houses in the same area. I would love to have this property. It's very distressed. And I called the guy, he inherited the property, he doesn't want it. And then I said, do you have a number you want to sell it for? And he's like, oh, I don't know. He's like, I'm just going to have to wait till I get the tax assessment. And I said, well, when is that going to be? He's like, well, I'm not sure. And I said, listen, are you serious about selling this property or not? He's like, excuse me? And I said, well, right now I'm in the process of purchasing 58 properties all right now. I said, if you're not serious about this, I'm going to take my time and I'm going to focus on somebody else's property. And he's like, well, yeah, I really do want to sell it. I'm like, well, what number do you want? And he's like, well, I don't know. I got to think about it. And I said, look, here's how I buy houses. I said, I have a team of financial partners, and they basically look at what everything is selling for in the area. And I'm super transparent. Like, I think that that's why I do well, is because I say it like it is. And I say, I have a team of financial partners, and what they do is they look at what everything is selling for in the area. And they basically say to me, we'll give you a percentage of that number for this project. And that number has to include what I can buy it for and fix it for. So I said, for an example, I said, the most that I know that I could probably sell your house for once I fix it up is $200,000. I said, knowing that and knowing what this property needs, I said, it's a full gut job. I was like, it needs everything. I said, so I'm just going to cut to the chase right now. Instead of me calling you back a bunch of times and waiting for it to be assessed, I'm going to tell you right now, if you want anything more than $10,000 for this property, I'm not interested in it. And then I just shut up. Like, sometimes, you know what, if you know your market so well and everybody's dancing around and, oh, I don't know, you're the expert, you make me, okay, 10 grand. How about that? Like, and sometimes we want to just try to figure out, how can I get to know? Like, what's the quickest way for me to get to a no so I can move on to somebody else who's worth my time? Like, sometimes you guys have to put your shoulders back, put your chin up, and know that you're in control here. Like, they probably need to sell. You don't have to buy that house, because we have 856 other people that we can talk to. So they're all not all that special. Like, really, they think that sometimes that they just hold these golden chalices, but really they don't. So when I talk to them, I'm very blatant. Like, I am always hunting for information. So I want to know, what do they want to sell it for? I want to know, how soon do they want to sell it? So is it like 6 months or 9 days? Like, what kind of time frame are we talking about? The reason I want to know that is because it's very important, because, and when I say this, like, take everything, like, don't Don't think negatively, but I want to figure out my plan of attack. And I say that like as politely as I can.
I love it, Jenna.
But if somebody's like, you know what, I'm going to lose my house. They're like, you know what, I'm going to lose my house or my car and I can't drive my house. So, can you buy it? And can you buy it in 9 days? That kind of person is a little different from the person that owns their property free and clear with no mortgage. They're thinking about selling maybe in the next 6 months. Like, I don't have a lot of like, if I can buy it quickly in cash right now, will that help you? And they're like, I don't care. I'm not in a time crunch. So I can't use that as like my negotiating versus this person over here. If I can buy your property quickly in cash and in 9 days, would that be something that you're open to? Yeah. So guess what? I'm the boss. I'm the one writing the check. So I'm going to be able to tell you what I'm going to give you, what I'm willing to give you on this. Like, so if you don't want it, that's fine. So I want to know, how much do they want to sell it for? When do they want to sell it? If I can figure out why they want to sell it, which is my third most important thing, great. Sometimes you'll find it out just in conversation. It could be things like, oh, well, I'm moving for work. Oh, I can't handle this. Oh, this and that. The thing is, we already know probably why. They're behind on taxes. This person is, again, like we're looking in behind on taxes, but there could be pre-foreclosure, upside down, inherited, this and mechanics liens. Like there could be all these different things on it. And the last thing is going to be the condition. Like if you have a house, like sometimes people don't realize how important it is to know what's wrong with the house. And you got to dig for it. Like when people are like, oh, does your house need any updates or any renovations? No, it's good. It's good. And then you start asking them questions and you find out they have carpet in the bathroom and a kitchen that's from 1950s. It's aqua. Like that is not just because it didn't need renovated to you, but to like today's world, you definitely needed that updated. But those are the things that we want to really take away from that conversation, because then like when we go to look at, like now we're a detective, like we're at a crime scene. We just gathered up and we just put everything in little baggies and, took all the fingerprints, and now we're going back to the lab. And now it comes time to like, this is where you become the investor, guys. Like this is where you sit down and you take all your facts and you start pulling comps and it becomes real. And now you're a real investor and you're looking, and can you pull comps in the system? Yeah, of course. That's one of the hottest things too. You can come in here. We're integrated with Google Maps. So as long as Google has ever been there, first off, we can virtually go see any property that's in the system. So like, whichever one this is, again, like, it's probably something like this one here. But, if that's, or wait, I wasn't even showing it to you. So we're integrated with Google Maps right here. So like, we can go see that property. And then from here, you can come right in here and pull comps within any property. And we can see all the behind the scenes information on any property, anything in the system. Like, let's just grab one here. I don't want a business here. Let me get an individual owner here just so we can see here. And then that way, and then we can see how much they owe. We can see when they bought it, how much they paid. So let's go right here. So here's this property. It was sold last in 2020 for $65,000. We could see the images of it if we wanted to. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot single family on this Quimby Avenue. We can see the listing description from before. We can see who owns it. We can see how much equity he has in it. Where does he live if he doesn't live in the property? We can see it's a Cape Cod, all the square footage, year it was built, taxes, zoning, parcel ID, zoning information, lot size, school district, you name it. We can see all that, but we can see all the stats on it, construction information, but then we can see all the financials, guys. Even in those areas, like if there's something that's ever been listed in those non-disclosure states, that's something like really huge that we've done in the last year, was pull in all the MLS data nationwide and the last 5 years of data. So a lot of those, I don't know how to pull comps in my non-disclosure states really is not really a problem anymore. But going back here, we can see when they bought it, how much they paid for it, who their lender was, all of that, like what interest rates, what their mortgage payment is every single month. And so guys, when you're talking to these people, like sometimes it's like, they don't want to say certain things to you, but then when they do, they may say, well, I'm a little behind on taxes. Oh, really? You don't say, meanwhile, we know that, well, I kind of owe a good bit on it. Oh, really? You don't say. Like a lot of the stuff that they're going to be telling us, we already know it. And so we're going to have an upper hand advantage. Plus, we're already looking at it online. So you can pull it up. You can virtually walk that property. You can pull the comps on it. And I don't recommend doing that on just a cold lead. Like if you have a list of 800 and something properties that you're cold calling, I don't recommend going in, looking at every single one, comping them, getting to know it, dating it, and then then calling it. Because if that phone number, if it's disconnected, if it's no good, if they don't answer, if they tell you, take a hike, you just wasted 10 minutes.
Okay, Jenna. So I'm gonna interrupt really quick here. So let's just say that I pulled. So just exactly what Jenna just said, and I would like to add on top is that when you get the list, don't do research on these property. That's what I used to do, and I waste a bunch of time. I'll go in, I'll take the address, I'll research it, I'll figure out what the property's worth, and then I go through my calculation and be like, okay, if this seller picks up the phone, I'm going to offer them this much. You're wasting time.
You know why you did that?
Why?
So I noticed, because I did that too. But when I would do it, it was because it was my way of just like delaying. It was like my way of like digging heels into the ground, because it's like I didn't want to do the actual part where I called, but I was okay to be everything else. It's like, you know what? I'm going to be the best comp puller ever. And maybe I need to look a little more. Maybe I need to go out. Maybe I need to see if I can find pictures of it. So it's just a way that we just kind of distract ourselves.
I see.
So that's what it could have been different, but that's for me.
No, it's probably it.
It's like, it's my way up to like not have to do it.
Yeah. So now that you guys got a list, okay, you have skip traced it already. Jenna she just roughly show you how to get on the phone and talk to the seller. That's what you guys need to do. Is don't do the research. You're wasting time. Get on the phone, find out the seller motivation, get their price of what they want. All right. You don't make the offer on the first call unless you really know your market, right? Until you know your market, they'll be like, hey, that property's worth 200,000. And they're like, dude, I want 100,000 right now. That's when you'll be like, dude, that's 50% off. Let's close them. Then yes. But until then, you don't know. Your first call is typically build rapport, get information on the property, which is your filter and qualifying the leads. Once you know what the seller wants, then you set an appointment, right? Then during that time, let's just say that they said they want 200,000 for their property. You'll be like, okay, let me call you back in about an hour, Bob, and then I'll be able to make you an offer. Because for some reason, it could be a good deal because the seller said, hey, the property's worth, let's just say 275. And you know that they're already willing to drop 75,000 without you even negotiating. So it's a warm lead. So you'll be like, okay, Bob, let me call you back in 30 minutes or an hour, however long that you feel like you need to run your comps. That's when you do your research. That's when you be like, okay, I got a motivated sellers on the line right now. Run comps and then call the seller back and then lock the seller up on a contract. That is how you do it without wasting time. Hopefully, I just saved you guys a ton of time. So now, Jenna, let's just say that I went through, I got the seller to accept my offer, and we agree on a price of, let's just say, 300,000. Okay. Now, Jenna, how do I get the purchase and sell contract to them?
That all depends on how you'd want to do that. So,
does the software do that or not yet?
Well, depending if they have the full CRM version.
Okay. So let's talk about that later. As of right now, what you guys can do is once the seller have accept your offer, the next move you need to make is obviously, I use DocuSign. Okay. Most seller knows what DocuSign is or eSign, whatever, but DocuSign is what I use. DocuSign.com. You get a 30 days free trial. Okay. Sign up for them. Upload the purchase and sell contract, send it to them. The seller signs electronically, completely virtual. It doesn't need to be notarized. All right. Once they sign it, you get a copy. So now, Jenna, let's just say I got the seller to accept the 300,000 and you want to lock the property on a contract for at least 30 to 60 days, at least. The longer, the better, because the longer you have it on a contract, the more time it allows you to find the buyers. Remember, during that time, that's your due diligence time. That's the time where you now going to find a buyer. And if you can't find a buyer, we can always go back and renegotiate with the seller. Either ask for more time, lower the price, or cancel the contract. So you don't have to move forward to buy the property as long as you're within that inspection period. You can always cancel the contract. Now, I'm not giving you any legal financial advice. I've been doing it for 12 years. Jen, I've been doing it for a long time. But I've gone back to the seller. Worst come to worst. Like this is the absolute worst case that can happen is you lose your earnest money deposit to the seller. And in my contract, we automatically put $250 in my contract. For you, it could have been $10. Most sellers that we deal with directly off market never ask about earnest money deposit. So you can literally put anything in there you want. I have students that only put $10, but for me, I just put $250. So I don't know about you, but for me, I'm willing to risk $250 in exchange to make $25,000. No risk, no reward. Scare money ain't gonna make you any money. Okay? I want you guys to understand that. Everybody that got rich and become successful took risk and lost money. Okay? I made a post on Instagram, Jana. I said, hey, if you want to make 1,000, you can't be afraid to lose 100, right? Hundreds. And if you want to make hundreds of thousands, you can't be afraid to lose thousands. And if you want to make millions, you can't be afraid to lose hundreds of thousands because that's just the game, right? Because you're going to learn something new and you're going to lose. But then obviously the goal is to win more than you lose. So Jenna, let's move on to the next step. Is let's just say I got a prop in a contract. How do I go into the software? How do I find buyers? How do I sell my deal now?
Well, that's a great question. Let me get you that answer. So there's a couple things you can do. So something that's new to the system. So if you're somebody that has had the software for, let's just say, maybe a couple months, something that's new, if you haven't been in it recently, is we have something called our wholesale marketplace. So what you can do is like, if you go into our left side navigation, you're going to see right here where it has post my wholesale deal. So within all of our software networks, we have over 200,000 people that use our software to some level or another every single month. Now you'll notice that as soon as we type in any geographic area, you're going to notice that some properties pop up here in blue. And these are properties that are real live investors that are just like you that have the software that are in those specific areas, but it's going to be state specific. So right now, since it's so new, anybody that searches any area in Ohio will see all the Ohio listings. Anybody that's in Florida will see all the ones in Florida. That's just for right now until we start getting more and more people actively using the wholesale marketplace. And then obviously the list is too big. So we'll have to then segment and just based on cities. So for right now, this is the prime time to advertise it whenever it's so new, because you really don't have a lot of other investor competition. For example, right now in Ohio, there's only 3 people that are advertising their deals in a whole state of Ohio. So what they're doing is they're paying $100 because you can advertise it for 30 days for $100. And it shows up to anybody that's looking for any property in any state, any list, because you'll see that you're the ones that come up before the ones that you actually wanted. So if I said, look, I only want delinquent tax activity, before I even get to my ones in white that are delinquent, it's going to show me these ones that people are advertising. It's almost like it puts you on display.
Okay, got it. So basically what Jenna, correct me if I'm wrong. So they get to choose to pay $100 to post their deals on here with over 200,000 investors. So think of like Facebook, but Facebook Marketplace, you get a lot of those where it'd be like, okay, what's the price? Oh, okay, let me think about it. Let me call you back. Well, you're posting it to real active investors who has the software. But at the same time, I want to also add in this. Now, this is another cool thing that I'm having my VA doing, and we've been doing, is JV deals. So let's just say all you have is the software. You don't want to talk to seller. You don't want to run comps. You don't want to do all of that. But you have a large cash buyers list off market. What you can do is you can go into the software. Look, there's 3 deals right now that's currently under contract. And you can click on contact seller, which is probably a wholesaler. You can reach out to them. And guess what you can do, my friend? You can JV the deal. So you didn't have to talk to seller. You didn't have to run comps or do any of that. All you're doing is you're being the joint venture partner. You go on here, you leverage the software by paying, even with the basic plan, $149 a month. You get access to all these deals that's currently under contract where you don't have to find the seller, talk to them, and you just contact these wholesaler and say, hey, can I JV this deal with you? 9 out of 10 times, that wholesaler will be like, yeah, dude, let's go ahead and make this money together. You take the deal and you just blast it out to your off-market buyers. Send it out to them. And guess what? If you find a buyer, connect them with, if they were to make $20,000 on that deal, you get $10,000. Even if they make $10,000 on the deal, you get $5,000. So typically it's a 50-50 split. Okay. So Jenna, let's go back into the software. Let's just say that they don't want to pay $100 or don't have the $100 to post a deal on there. How can they go and pull cash buyers?
Okay. So
here's another ways to do it, guys.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to reset all my filters. And so I'm going to go into that geographic area. I'm going to come in here to my list. I'm going to select cash buyers. So it's going to show me all the people in the area that bought a property in cash, but I need to weed it out more because I don't care about the husband and wife that saved up and bought it in cash, because that's not the cash buyer investor that I'm looking for. So I'm going to go into my filter section and I'm going to go into the ownership info and I'm going to look for only businesses. So businesses, entities, LLCs, S Corps, anybody who's a business that bought a property in my area and bought it in cash. Now I have 22,000. Like, that's overkill. I don't care about the one person back in 2016 that bought a house and thinks they're an investor. I want people that are like more time relevant. So based on your list size, like you can go to the last year, the last 6 months, the last 3 months. Ideally, I would like to have a list with like a minimum of 200 or so on there, just because that's the size I'd want. So right here in the last month in that area, as far as, 211 different people bought properties in cash. Now, some of these will just, again, they're not all going to be your ideal, like a fellow investor like you that's sitting there and thanks you for calling them. Some may be like another business that bought it in cash. It could have been a hairdresser that bought their hair salon in cash. It could have been a church that bought a church. So yeah, like some of them you'll be able to see, like they may not be the best one to contact, but it's not like it's a big deal because you're not paying for that. You don't have to pay for the skip tracing anyways. So when you come in, you'll be able to see things like enchanting, households, or all these different ones here, holdings, like these holding ones, like this is obviously like Blessings Realty. Like these are obviously ones that I'd want to reach out to. And when I call them, again, I'm going to get the person's, most likely their name and all that. And I'll call and I'll say, hi, is Shirley available? And Shirley will be like, yeah, who's calling? And I'll say, hey, Shirley, my name is Jenna Hoover and I'm a fellow investor in the area. I came across a property that you had purchased on East 59th Street recently. And I actually have a property that's very similar to that one that I was able to, cultivate a really great deal with the seller. And I know that you bought this property in the area, and I just wanted to reach out and see if you're interested in anything similar to that. Again, it doesn't have to be anything like if you're leaving them a message, like I'm very quick to the point. Hi, Shirley, my name is Jenna Hoover. I'm a fellow investor in the area. I'm doing a lot of marketing and advertising, and I'm getting a lot of access to off-market deals. Now, I saw that you bought that property over on East 59th Street recently. And first off, I wanted to call and introduce myself. And if you have 5 minutes, you can give me a quick call back. I just wanted to be able to reach out to you and just see what kind of properties that you're looking for, so that if I run into something that matches it, I want to bring it to you first. Here's my info. So they're thinking 5 minutes. Okay. Like, what's 5 minutes? Or guys, we're giving most of their emails. Like there's going to be ways that you want to email so you're not spammy, or ways that you can do that. But really, if you have a list of 200 people, or if we don't get you all of them, like if we don't get you the info, you're credited, or actually you're not even paying for it. I keep forgetting that you're not paying for this now. But as far as, emailing them and stuff, it's a small enough list that for you to reach out to these people and just just send them info on your deal. Really, it's that simple.
Love it. So now, before I let Jenna continue, Jenna pretty much walked you guys through exactly what you needed to do. Okay. You identify a market, you leverage the software, you go in there, you pull a list, and she show you guys her favorite list is the tax delinquent list of the vacant property. All right. Once you pull the list, she show you how to narrow down the list, so you're not just targeting everybody. Okay. Because you don't want to call 400,000 people, but maybe just 4,000 or 400 people that are on that list of motivation where they're willing to sell in the next 90 days for a major discount. After that, we show you how to get the seller contract. Jenna show you how to talk, negotiate, get that property in the contract. I show you how to send the contract to the seller. And then once you got the property in the contract, Jenna just show you exactly how to find the buyer and get your deal sold. Now, listen, this is going to take work. It's going to take commitment. All right. It's so a lot of you, what you need to do is you need to focus on finding a skill, finding something you want to do, and go all in on it and stay committed. It's not going to happen overnight, but like I said, all it takes is one deal to change your life. Imagine if you close your first deal and make $25,000 just from leveraging this. Okay. And once again, I want to go through this, and then I'll let Jenna take one last thing. Is I'm going to have Jenna showing you guys how to access the MLS. Let's just say you don't want to talk to seller. You want a JV, and maybe you want to start making offer on market, right? Jenna's going to show you exactly how to do that with this software. But before that, Jenna, can you pull up the software and let's go show them the difference between the basic plan and the pro plan? Because for a limited amount of people that I'm doing this for, okay, you never have to worry about paying for your skip tracing again. And hopefully you're able to make it in one of the few spots that's available. So I don't care if you take the basic plan or the pro plan, whichever one you decided to sign up on, as long as you have the software. As of right now, we still have some spot available for any one of you who wants to take advantage, but you never have to worry about paying for skip tracing again, because I am going to pay for it. Got it? So even if you just use the software to skip trace the property, if you were to skip trace 2,000 people, it would have already cost you $200. It's a no-brainer. So Jenna, let's talk about the two plans that they can sign up for, break it down so they understand, and which one should they go first?
So when you look at these, when we talk about the difference between, so the main things that you want to focus on, like when it comes to downloads, this means that you're exporting them outside of the system. It's not meaning like that you can only look at properties. It just means if you're pulling them out of the system. So really, I don't know too many people that are going to go over either one of these numbers, but really the two main things are going to be the amount of lead types and the amount of coverage for artificial intelligence. So when you look at these lead types right here, if you're looking at the first plan, the one that's $149, you're going to get these 8 different lead types. You're going to get absentee owner, active listings, cash buyers, delinquent tax activity, free and clear, the different equity position, and upside down. So these 8 that I have selected. If you were to do the plan that is the pro plan, the $249, then you're going to get everything that I have selected plus all of these other ones. So foreclosures, pre-foreclosures, vacant properties, zombie properties, inherited properties, long-term owners. You're going to get board investor, which is like a tired landlord. So a lot of different types of leads. One thing I will tell you guys is you can always start out in the first plan and in the basic, and you can always add. You can always add the additional leads after the fact. So if you get in here and you're like, look, you can do a one-time purchase of just those leads, and then you continue paying that lesser amount for the life of your account as long as you keep your account. So you can always add it after the fact. So if you're like, oh, I don't know, I know I'm going to be this like big powerhouse investor, so I should get all this stuff, you can work up to that. You don't have to get it right this second. And then like with the AI is a filtering tool. We didn't even get into it a lot today, but what it does is it scores the properties, and it's just the long story short is it's a way to sift through them. If you have a list of 1,000 people that own their properties free and clear, it's a way to say, okay, out of those people, show me which ones need to sell it. Because just because you own it free and clear doesn't make it to where you want to sell your house. I only want the ones that should or want or need to sell their house right now, and it eliminates the other ones. So, that's how we're going to be able to use that. So it scores it, and it's based on territory. So you have nationwide access to the leads, but that scoring feature is either on a zip code type of a basis, or you can do it based on your county with those 2 different packages. So if you want to turn that scoring feature on in your entire county, then you're going to see here that this is going to be the one for you, the pro plan. Now, again, you can always get this one and add your whole county after the fact if you want to. So either or is going to be based on you. But if you're one of those people that you're like, look, I'm more of a seasoned investor, I want to have all those leads, I know that I'm going to use that scoring feature in my whole county, I'm just going with this because it's easier, then you can do obviously this one or start here and then upgrade to that. So that's a little bit about the 2 different versions of the plan.
Perfect. Okay. So Jenna, I want to get this question answered here from someone commenting in the chat. I can't pronounce his name, but there are markets where it's just too expensive. Like he's in the Bay Area and he's been trying to wholesale for the past 6 months and haven't got any deal under contract. So I told him the Bay Area is just too competitive and it's too expensive. So the market I typically identify is you need a population of at least trying to get close to 100,000 plus people, right? You don't want to take over the whole entire state, but I would say you trying to stay between that 100,000 to like maybe 500,000 in population. If you in an area where it's 70,000, I think it's fine too. The next thing we're going to look at is price range. The price range, which means house should be selling for, I would target anything between, 150 to like $500,000. Anything that's like in the millions, like stay away, okay? Because more buyer has $150,000, $500,000 in the bank, right? That they can go buy. Okay, so once you identify that, so I told him, hey, you need to get into a different market. So watch this, bro. I'm going to show you step by step. Jenna going to do this very fast. Jenna, here's the market he's in. Let's go ahead and go there and pull a list of tax delinquents. He said, hold on a second. What did he name it? I told him to pick a new one. I can't even see it now. Where is it at?
What are we looking for?
I told him to go into a different Oakland, California. Let's go ahead and go there.
Okay.
So, bro, here's the new market for you, okay? So stay away from Bay Area, man. That's why you haven't got any deal under contract. Okay?
Where's the Bay Area? Is it like this or here?
I don't even know, but I just know it's expensive.
Okay. I just didn't know like what part of the state that was in. Okay.
Bay, California.
Yeah, I just didn't know like where. Is it like here? Is it there?
I don't even know.
I didn't know what you considered the Bay. But anyways, okay. So if we're looking in this Oakland, California area,
yep.
I see that I have 91,000 different properties.
Hold on. Also too, bro, do you see all of those in blue? Okay. These are all the people. There's 3 properties currently under contract right now with a wholesaler that you can literally get access to them. Reach out to them. You never have to talk to a freaking seller. You just now reach out to them and say, hey, you know what, bro? I got some buyers that might be interested in your deal. Can I send this out to my buyer? Can we do a JV deal? Dude, if they make $20,000 on that deal where you didn't have to talk to the seller or did the work, you send it out to your buyer. Now you're just waiting for your buyer to respond, JV with them. And if they were to make $20,000 on that deal, bro, you get $10,000. It's a 50-50 split, bro. There you go. So that's one way to make money leveraging this software. Jenna, now let's show them what list that you're going to pull now.
Okay. So, I mean, if we wanted to just go with one of my favorites, just go to the delinquent tax activity. Now, if you're somebody that did the pro version, you're going to have all these additional ones. And we also can list stack. So we can do numerous ones at the same time. So if I wanted absentee owners at the same time with the delinquent tax activity, then I can stack them. So now I'm at 1,600. Let's see if I can throw on vacant. Let's see if my list gets too small. 81, that's too small. So if you come down here, you can hit this little toggle off. That means it could be one of them or all of them or both of them, but it's going to include at least some flavor of each of these. That's going to be too many here. So I'll just take off the vacancy one on here, but again,
1,600.
Yeah, so we're at 1,600, but then there's other ways that we can come in. Like there's like what else you can do? Like if we were to talk about the AI, you could come in here and you don't even need to select any one of these different leads. You can come in here straight up and then go right in here and say, all right, show me all the places. There's 91,000. Show me all the houses in my area that have a higher likelihood of selling in the next 90 days at a below market value, discounted wholesale kind of price. Now we're down to 1,000. The higher we go, the more likely they are to sell. So we're at 700 different properties right here, or we're at a score of 700.
All right, bro. So as you can see what Jenna is doing, she goes in there, she pulls a list. Hey, Jenna, let's go back. Let's go ahead and go back, Jenna, and let's just target tax delinquents, and let's just go with single family or multifamily. Show him how to do that. And then we're going to try and narrow the list down to, I would say, right around 2,000 people or so.
Okay, so we can go to tax delinquent. We can do absentee owner.
Well, hold on a second, Jenna. Let's just say they got just the basic plan, so they can't list that. So let's just pick one.
Okay, well, if they did the basic plan, we can do delinquent tax activity, and then I could come in here and I could list stack my absentee owner that way.
Perfect.
So that's a back way you can do it. So if you do it that way. So we're somewhere around 2,000 people right there, if that's what you were wanting them to
Yep.
be.
So now, dude, okay, bro, that's the exact move that I would make if I were you. Okay, so let's see how much it's going to skip trace 2,000 people, Jenna.
Okay, so let's take all these results. Let's add them to our list. And then from here, we're going to go up and we're going to go
Very
to
that simple.
trace. Again, I would save them into my database. I would name it. I'd go in here and agree to the terms, and I'd spend $201.
But guess what, bro? All right. Now, once again, I'm going to say this for the last time. All right. For those of you who decided to sign up for the software today, it's already active. So when you go into the software, all right, if you want to take advantage of this, it's going to be for a limited amount of people who wants to take on this opportunity. All right. So there's only going to be for X amount of people that I'm willing to pay for your skip tracing. So instead of paying $200 for your skip tracing, like you used to when we first talk about the software, now I am going to pay for it. So this $200 is coming out of my pocket, not you. So you don't have to worry about paying for skip tracing anymore. Once again, this is only for limited amount of people, not for everybody. So for the first come, first serve. So when you go and sign up for the software and you go to the checkout page, and if there's no red banners that pops up and said it's already sold out, then which means you still made it in the run. All right. You still are one of those who get the spot to get your skip tracing paid for. Now, Jenna, one last thing before we go. Show them about the MLS, how they can just start making offer on the MLS through the listing agent with the software.
Yeah. So let's get out of here. So if we wanted to, let me just reset all these.
Basically, what I'm having Jenna doing right now is showing you guys multiple different ways of getting a deal under contract or JV deals, selling people deals, without, maybe you don't want to talk to seller. Maybe this is the route that you guys want to go.
Yeah. So let's say that you want to look at all the active listings in your area. So the software, it gives you obviously you can go to realtor.com or Zillow or Redfin or wherever you want to go. Obviously, we can provide those listings in here, but now it's merging it with all of our software. So if you want to see all the people that are behind on their taxes, or if you want to search by keywords like TLC, investor special, look for vacant properties, days on market, stuff like that, high level stuff, then obviously it's going to be something that's really only in here. But either way, whenever you click on any one of these properties, now you'll be able to see all the images of the property within the software, all the listing description, and now here's the agent info. So the email, the phone number, the agent, everything you need to know right here. And then obviously there'd be the seller info, but obviously we would be contacting the agent if it's a listed property.
That is correct. So Jenna, can you tell them if they were going to go and target, like, let's just say property that are on the MLS, what are some moves that you would make? Just so they're not going through, offering on random property, but have a specific property that they go after.
I mean, if it's actively listed, things that, in an ideal world, things that I would love is like this perfect trifecta. Like I love properties that have been on the market for at least 30 days or more. I mean, obviously if it hits the market today, I want to go see all the ones that are just there, but ideally after 30 days, that person becomes a little bit more motivated. I want it to be vacant if possible, and I want it to need work. That would be my ideal scenario. Like if I get a house that the person's living in that doesn't need any work and really, that it just hit the market, it's probably not going to be like the best deal for me. So things that I can do, again, is if, depending on your software version, I would come in here and I would basically say, and things you can do too, depending again on your software version. If you have that pro version, you can come in here and you can look for expired listings, coming soons, but you can come in here and look for things like days on market. So you can select over 30 days. You can come in here and search by keywords, looking for things like investor special, TLC, cash, needs work, handyman, crack slab, 203K, like all these different types of phrases. And then you come in here, and even if you wanted to even go down granular, like this is a smaller kind of an area, but even if you wanted to throw on top of that vacant, if you can, you don't have to pick the vacant one. Sometimes it makes your list too small. But if you were to look at, some of them will look vacant. You're going to see that they're going to appear to be vacant, but you can always sort them based on list price. So if we come in here, like this is going to give us our, cheapest one probably first. So, we can come in here, we can start scrubbing through this one, like we're going to be able to look at images, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, all utilities are present. opportunity, cash only. I mean, if we would have just typed in cash, we'd have just brought this one up in a second.
Look at that. So, okay, so when you go through the MLS, here's what I would do, okay? So Gupo said, what about the failed listing? Yes, expired listing or failed listing is a great list to go after, which means they couldn't sell the property through an agent and maybe it just came off the market and you reach out to the seller, you'd be like, hey, I'm not looking to list your property. We're looking to buy it. Dude, that seller is going to be extremely happy, especially if it has price drop, especially if the property's in bad condition. So everything that Jenna just told you to filter, I would also go from cheapest to most expensive. That's what I would go. I would range it from cheap to expensive and TLC, 30 days or longer on market.
So like something like this, like 37 days on the market, fixer upper. I mean, these are all the things that we're looking for. Well, if there's no more pictures, it's not because the kitchen's amazing. It's because they don't want you to see it. There's bars on the window. They're broken.
Also, I want you guys to understand is just submit your offer. So let me tell you this. When I first started my real estate career 12 years ago, I didn't have the software where I can go in there. I did like Drive for Dollars, right? I believe I did it the hard way. I did Drive for Dollars. I went, I door knock a little bit, but not too much. And I contact a bunch of realtors and I put an offer on expired listing. I would go on and I would put offer on expired listing. And that's how I got majority of my first deal. But a lot of times, let me tell you this, at that time, I did not know who's the listing agent. You want to work directly with the listing agent. And that's why I believe the software is so powerful, beside everything else, is that they'll give you access to the listing agent. So when you make offer, you offer directly with the listing agent because the listing agent will be like, well, instead of me going with the other buyer, where they bring in a buyer's agent, and I have to split my commission, I'd rather go with Jenna and have no buyer's agent. So that's one thing you have to put in your email is, hey, I don't have a buyer's agent representing me. I love for you to represent me as a buyer's agent as well. So now to them, they're keeping their full commission, my friend. And that's how they go with you versus other investors. Even sometimes your offer is a few $1,000s less, but they rather go with you because they get that full 5 to 6% instead of splitting it in half. All right. So, Jenna, I think that's all the time that we have. And once again, you can also use the software to run your comps, everything like that. And once again, for those of you who's able to get in on the pay unlimited skip tracing, congrats. All right. And I'm excited for you. I look forward to seeing you closing your first deals. And like I said, all it takes is one deal, my friend. It'll pay for the software, your time tenfold. Jenna, you have anything to say to the people before we wrap it up? Because I took a lot of your time today.
No, you're good. I would just say, I don't know. I would just say that first off, it's great hanging out with you. And as far as the software is concerned, I mean, I feel like everybody is worth it. I mean, so I know I get like all that, I'm like that emotional mom energy coming at you, but I feel like that this is such an opportunity to not have any marketing expenses really, because you're paying for the skip tracing. And all that it is just investing in themselves for at least, $149 or $249 a month. Like when I first got into real estate with a company that's not even really around anymore, I spent $25,000 to be able to just learn anything. And then another 10 and then more after that. And I just think if I would have had the software, if I would have had things like this, if I would have had people like you to be able to teach me stuff, it would have just been a different story.
Hey, Jenna, how much time do you have left?
I mean, a few minutes, maybe. Okay,
Jenna, let's go through this really quick. Jenna, first off, the calculator to making offer. Can you show them really quick how, like, you guys have that, right? The calculator to calculate, like, what's the offer price?
That would be on their CRM version. So
right. Okay, hold on a second. And then you can pull it up and then it'll tell you exactly what the wholesale offer would be that they can make, right? Just roughly.
You mean like in our repair estimator?
Yes, correct.
Okay, yeah, but
and also too is Jenna Nelly asked, sorry you guys, I'm going really fast here and pulling Jenna all over the place because I know some of you want to make the best decision that you can, right? And I'm telling you, I've been in the game for 12 years, and this is a software that we're falling in love and we're using right now to get all of our wholesale deal done, JV deal done, market our deals, everything, running comps. It's truly a one-stop shop. And I want to show you guys so that way you can make the best decision you can. Jenna, it's like, what the price of the software? I joined a bit late. So can you pull up and run through really quick, Jenna?
Yeah, I'll try to do that. I think you just asked me for like 15 things in
I
one.
know.
But I will try
I'm
to
running out of time too.
I can tell you have a fast moving brain, so I will try to keep up with your brain here. Okay. So you'll see here, these are the two different versions you guys can choose from, the basic and the pro. It's just going to come down to this is more of like a beginner investor. The pro is for somebody who's more serious. That's more, and I don't mean it like, oh, I'm not serious to do it. I just mean like more serious as an investor, like that you're really making offers, you're really doing the marketing. It's either you're full time or you want to eventually get to full time with this, because it does have a lot of features that will really help you do marketing on a higher scale. Versus the basic one, you can always add the features from the pro into the basic if you start out with the basic. So you always can move between your plans and things like that. So these are the two different versions that you guys have access to. Now, as far as I had to log out and log into another version to show what you were wanting me to show here. So what you were talking about, we do have and we can talk about this separately, guys. This is like, there's a way that you could have an entire additional side of the software with our full CRM, which is basically like our command center. It really is not all that much more a month. And I don't have the number. We'd have to get that number for you. But really, it's going to give you so many different, like more of like management tools, because what we showed you today is how to find the leads. But assuming you guys find the leads, next step is you're going to have to figure out how to be a business. Like, how do you stay organized? How do you follow up? How do you do automated reminders? How do you do autoresponders? How do you do purchase and sell agreements electronically in the system?
Hey,
like,
Jenna.
uh-huh.
Okay, why don't we, maybe that is something we can show them on the next live, because that's I feel like that needs some time.
Okay, we'll dangle that carrot.
Correct. Now, but Jenna, just to show them basically, because I think on the thing where when they click on the property, it'll show them, hey, you know what? Here's the recommended wholesale price that you can offer, right?
Well, what it will do is with any property, let me just show it to you here. So let's dive in with any property that you put in. So let's see if I can find something here. Let me just grab any property. We'll go here.
Like, there's so much stuff to the software, guys. It's really hard for us to show you everything just within, but I want to keep it simple. The best thing is never to overload and overwhelm. Once you overwhelm, your brain will shut down. You won't want to do anything. Okay. So don't get over technicality with the CRM and all. Just keep it basic, like Jenna and I share with you in this video. Stay up to that, learn that, do that once you get really good at it. And eventually, the more you use the software, the more things you will discover as you goes on, okay? But don't get overwhelmed.
But you'll see here, like with every property, you're going to see that we have like a number right here. This is we call this our AVM, which is our automated valuation model. It's basically the value that we're placing on the property as is right now. It's not to be confused with what it could sell for the after repair value. It's not to be confused for what you should offer. It's just pretty much like equivalent to like a Zillow's estimate. I hate to compare it to that because ours is way better. And then this wholesale number right here is essentially this number, but 35% less. So let's say you're talking, and this is only just to give you a basic understanding. This is not considering like repairs. Like if it needs a bunch of work, like the system doesn't know that. So you'd have to minus out repairs and stuff like that. But this is just to be a guideline. So if you're talking to the seller and they're like, look, I'd be willing to sell it somewhere around 250. And you're like, what? Like it's just to give you a basic understanding of what some of those numbers, if I'm going to get this property potentially for a wholesale price, what would that be? Okay, somewhere around 288,000 maybe or less. Again, it's software, so don't base your retirement off of this. Don't be like, I'm going to bet everything on black. It's still software, so sometimes it can be off. It's pulling it from data. So, but it's just to give you a starter point.
That's correct, right? For those of you who be like, oh man, I got a property right now. This is such a lead, and I'm trying to run comps. I don't know what to do. Go off of that numbers. Just since you don't have anything else, go off of that numbers, make your offer, lock it up on a contract. Remember, once it's on the contract, you can always go back and renegotiate. If that is someone, if someone could have told me that when I first started, I would have felt more confident of putting property in a contract. Because a lot of you are afraid to put a property in a contract because you'd be like, Khang, what if I can't find a buyer? What if I miscalculate? It's okay. The goal is to build rapport with the seller. If you build a good enough rapport with the seller, you can always go back. You can always renegotiate the time frame. You can always renegotiate the price. And worst come to worst, you can always cancel the contract. Just an FYI. Jenna, I appreciate you once again. Anything else to say, or are we going to wrap it up?
Nope. I'd say come hang out with us again because we're just
all right.
Fun.
Appreciate you, Jenna. Thank you so much. Have a good one, okay? Bye, Jenna. All right, she's off. Once again, guys, I appreciate each and every single one of you. So if I would have a pocket deep like Elon Musk, I would have loved to pay for every single one of you. The reason why I did this, the reason why I woke up one day, I didn't just wake up one day and be like, you know what, let's go ahead and pay for everybody skip tracing. No. I got so many DMs and so many emails from those of you who use the software and say, Khang, I like the software, but things are getting tough. You know, finance are getting tough. And I like to continue using the software. But, man, that skip tracing is costing me a lot of money, man. You know, even though I can skip trace up to 25,000 leads a month on the basic plan, but, man, 25,000 leads that I'm going to skip trace is going to cost me $2,500. So I'll be like, okay, well, and then that one person, I'll be like, I felt the pain because I started from the bottom. I know how it is, man. Dude, when I was broke, I know how much $20 means. So it felt like $200. I said, okay, let me do it. That person reached back out and said, Khang, dude, like I got so much, I got this feeling of just, you know how people are like so much grateful for it. And I'll be like, you know, if I can do that to one person, how many person can I do it to? Because it feels amazing. And I said, you know what? I made a lot of money. I wouldn't be here where I am, being able to teach, create content, build a following without you guys. So I decided, you know, what if I offer this to more people? But I can't do it to everybody because I don't have deep pocket like Elon Musk, okay? Or Bill Gates, still billionaires. So once again, for a limited amount of time, if you already have the software, I'm grandfathering you in, and I will pay for your skip tracing, unlimited amount, as long as you have it. So for those of you who wants to take advantage of this, I know that we still have some spot available, and people who cancel, a spot becomes available. So if you want to take advantage and sign up for the software, even for the skip tracing alone, it's already paid for itself. All you need to do is go to kingdata.ai. Okay? When you go and check out, and if there's no red banners that pops up that said, hey, it's already sold out or the spot has been taken, it means that it's still available. You still made it in time. And I wish you the best of luck. Because I know for some of you that would have helped you a lot to be able to take that burden off of you and not have to pay for the skip tracing. And for some of you who got in late, I apologize. This is the first come, first serve. But my only thing that I ask for, from those of you who signs up and take advantage of it, is please only skip trace what you need, not what you like gonna waste. If you know you're only gonna call 1,000 people, skip trace 1,000 people. Don't skip trace 25,000 people and only call 1,000 people because the money is not coming out of your pocket, but it's coming out of your boy King Kong pocket. That's the only thing that I can ask for, is to use the monies wisely and skip trace what you need, not just for fun. Just because it's not costing you, just please don't take advantage of it. And, you know, anyways, that's all I got. Okay. I look forward to seeing you closing your first deal. I'm excited for each and every single one of you. January of 2025 is already over. We got 2 months left, February and March, until the first quarter is gone. Let's close your first deal within this next 2 months, baby. And like I said, all you need is one yes, baby. One yes, 25,000, or one JV deal, pocket you 10,000 bucks. Let's go, baby. Until next time, family, take care. And you already know what time it is, baby. Let's go get this money. And this is probably the best offer that I can ever offer you, and probably the best that I can do for you. Take care, guys.